Episode 4 The Father Quest. Mwindo and his aunt and her servants set off on a war march to Tubando. Along the way, they enlisted recruits. The fighting began shortly after they arrived on the outskirts of the city. Mwindo's forces were badly beaten, so he called on Nakuba to help, and the lightning hurler unleashed 7 bolts against Tubando, turning to dust the village and all who lived there. But after entering the devastated city, Mwindo soon learned that Mwindo, his father, had fled before the Holocaust, escaping to the underworld realm of Muisa, the place where no one ever gathers around the fire. Again, his aunt Iangura tried to dissuade him from pursuing his father, but Mwindo paid her no heed. He told her to remain in Tubando, holding one end of his birth rope. If the rope became still, then she could assume he was dead. Suddenly Sparrow appeared to Mwindo with these words: "Come here for me to show you the path that your father took upon entering the underground realm of Muisa at the base of the root of the Kikoka fern." When Mwindo arrived at the Kikoka fern, he pulled the plant out of the ground and entered the underworld realm. Mwindo was met by Kahindo, the daughter of Muisa and the guardian of the entrance to the underworld, whose repulsive body was covered from head to foot with yaws, sores. She cautioned him against going farther. "No one ever gets through Muisa's village," she warned. "Do you think that with all your pride you will succeed?" But Mwindo persisted, and Kahindo then supplied him with the oaths and knowledge needed to procure his safe passage. "When you arrive in the village meeting place, you will see a very tall, very big man curled up in the ashes near the hearth," she informed Mwindo. "That is Muisa, and if he greets you, 'Blessing be with you, my father,' you too will answer, 'Yes, my father.' Then he will offer you a stool, but you must refuse it." Next, Kahindo continued, "He will offer you some banana beer to drink. You must refuse that too. Finally, Muisa will invite you to have some gruel to eat. Mwindo, you must also refuse." Mwindo's heart reached out to the disfigured Kahindo, and he realized he could not leave without washing her scabs. He cleansed and soothed the lesions, then healed her entirely of the yaws before taking leave. Mwindo headed on to Muisa's village. On seeing him, Muisa greeted Mwindo. "Blessing be with you, my father." Mwindo answered, "Yes, my father." Muisa then offered Mwindo a stool on which to sit, some banana beer to drink, and some gruel to eat, all of which Muisa refused. Seeing Mwindo escape these ordeals, Muisa suggested that he might like to go back and rest at his daughter's house for a while. So he went back to Kahindo's, who in the meantime had made herself like the anus of a snail, a very attractive feature in this culture, dressing up, then rubbing herself with red powder and castor oil, and that is very beautiful to the people of this culture. Mwindo was taken aback by her radiant beauty. "Come in, Mwindo," Kahindo exclaimed. "Please, come in." "Oh, my sister," he replied, "I would harm myself if I stayed outside." Kahindo went to prepare some food, but Muisa, who had observed her tender behavior toward Mwindo, quickly intervened. Before giving him his father, Muisa told Mwindo he would have to face a series of challenges to prove his worth. "Tomorrow you will start cultivating a new banana grove for me," Muisa ordered. "You must first cut leaves, then plant the banana trees, then fell the trees, then cut the newly grown weeds, then prune the banana trees, then prop them up, then bring ripe bananas. After you have performed all these tasks," Muisa concluded, "I shall give you your father." In the morning, Muisa left to accomplish the tasks. He laid out his tools on the ground, then all by themselves the tools went to work. First they cut the grasses. Then the tools having cut the grasses, the banana trees planted themselves. The banana trees having planted themselves, Mwindo sent a bunch of axes to fell the trees. When the axes finished their work, he sent many weeding tools that went across the banana grove, cutting the newly grown weeds. After his weeding tools had finished, his other tools now cut supporting staffs. The staffs themselves propped up the banana trees. The staffs having finished sustaining the trees, the banana stems were ripe. In one day, Mwindo cleared, planted, and cultivated an entire field of bananas. While Mwindo was harvesting his crop, an astonished informant told Muisa of these miraculous events. Muisa then determined to send his Karemba belt against Mwindo, for he never intended to hand over Mewindo's father. You, my Karemba, you are going to fight Mwindo. He said, when you see him, you will bend him, then smash him against the ground. Karemba, having heard the instructions of its master, went to the banana grove. When it saw Mwindo, the belt fell upon him, making him scream. Muisa's belt crushed him. It planted his mouth against the ground, and froth came out. Mwindo could neither breathe nor control his bladder and bowels. Then, seeing its master with no way out, Mewindo's conga awoke to its duty. It wagged itself above its head, and he succeeded in taking a short breath, then a sneeze, and finally he opened his eyes and gazed about. All the while, Mewindo's birth rope was quiet, and his aunt in the upper world began crying. Mewindo is dead. His rope has become still. He must escape this terrible fate. She implored the divinities. He is my child. Mwindo remembered his aunt and communicated to her through the power of his thoughts. My aunt there in Tubando. My rope did not move because Muisa had trapped me. He wrapped me up like a bunch of bananas in his Karemba. But do not worry now. I am saved. My conga has rescued me. Mwindo then sent his conga scepter to attack Muisa. You, my conga, he commanded, when you arrive at Muisa's, you will smash him with force. You must plant his mouth to the ground. His tongue must penetrate the earth. Do not release him until I return. Whirling through the air, the conga went on his way, and arriving at Muisa's, it did smash him. It planted his mouth to the ground. His tongue dug into the earth, his bladder and bowels left him, and his breath was cut off. Mwindo remained in the banana grove, preparing a load of green and ripe bananas. When he returned to the village, he cast his eyes at Muisa and saw foam oozing out of his mouth and nostrils. Now give me my father, he said to Kahindo, who met him as he moved toward Muisa, so I may go home with him. Begin first by healing my father, she pleaded, so I may find out where your father is and give him to you. Mwindo sang while awakening Muisa. He who went to sleep wakes up. Muisa, you are powerless against Mwindo, because Mwindo is the little one just born he walked. Mwindo went on singing like that, beating Muisa incessantly on the head with his conga in order to wake him up. When Muisa was revived, he pointed to a tree some distance from where he stood and said, Mwindo, if you want to get your father, go tomorrow and extract honey from that tree. That evening, Kahindo cooked for Mwindo, and after eating, she put her leg across him, and they slept. When daylight came, Mwindo, equipped with his axe and with fire, went into the forest to extract the honey. He arrived at the base of the tree and climbed up high to where the honey was. But Muisa did not mean for Mwindo to succeed at this task either. Once again, he sent his Karemba belt after Mwindo. It smashed Mwindo on the tree. It planted his mouth into the trunk of the tree. He could not breathe. His bladder and bowels left him. Once again, Mewindo's aunt felt the birth rope go still, and she feared the end had come. But Mewindo's conga, laying on the ground at the base of the tree, realized that its master was dying. It climbed up the tree to where he was and began to beat Mwindo about his head. Mwindo sneezed, lifted his eyes slightly, and a bit of breath came out. When Nukuba the lightning hurler heard the cry of his friend Mwindo, he unleashed a lightning bolt that split the tree into pieces. Mwindo got down from the tree without a single word. He then went back with a basket of honey and set it down before Muisa, demanding to be given his father. Muisa, pretending to comply with Mwindo's demand, sent a boy to fetch Shemwindo from his hiding place. But the boy arrived and found Shemwindo was no longer there. Suddenly Kahungu the hawk, who had previously abetted Muisa, scooped down from the sky squawking. Muisa lies. He has warned your father to flee, saying that you were too tough an opponent. Now Mwindo was furious. Give me my father immediately, you scoundrel. Make him come out from where you have hidden him, so that I may return to the upper world with him. You said that when I had cultivated a field for you, and when I extracted honey for you, you would then give me my father. You lied. I want him right now. Don't let your saliva dry up before giving him to me. Muisa did not bring his father out, and Muisa gave up on polite words. He beat Muisa on top of the head with his conga. Muisa lost control of his bladder and bowels. He fainted, and froth came out of his nose, his eyes, and his mouth. He tossed his feet up into the air, and he stiffened like a dead snake. Stay like that, you dog, Mwindo yelled. I will heal you when I have finally caught my father. Meanwhile, Shemwindo had sought refuge with the god Shabarungu, and Mwindo followed him there, wrapped in his hatred. O Mwindo, Shabarungu shouted, let us play wiki together first. Mwindo accepted Shabarungu's challenge to play. If he won, then he could retrieve his father. Through superior play, Shabarungu won everything Mwindo had. His money, his possessions, his aunt, even his claim to the village of Tubando. In desperation, Mwindo wagered his conga against the god, and finally his fortune turned. Ultimately, he won everything the god possessed: people, cattle, goats, and most importantly, the ability to capture his fugitive father. Mwindo, come quickly, sang Kahungu the hawk. Your father wants to flee again. Mwindo hastily abandoned the wiki game and headed off to intercept his father in the banana grove. Seeing Shemwindo, Mwindo inquired sarcastically, Oh, my father, is it you here? Shemwindo answered meekly, Here I am. After seizing his father, Mwindo returned to Shebarungus, telling the god he did not want any of the things he had won during the game. Then Mwindo bid farewell to Shebarungu and tugged on the rope to remind his aunt he was still alive. On his return home, he went into Muisa's house, where Kahindo came running. You see my father here, his bones fill a basket. What shall I do then? It is befitting that you heal my father. Please, don't leave him like that. Wake him up. He is chief of all these people. Mwindo resurrected Muisa once more, striking him with his conga and telling him, You have offended me in vain. You have tried to equal Mwindo, but only I am Mwindo, the little one just born he walked, the little one who does not eat earthly foods, and the day he was born, he did not drink at the breasts of his mother. Mwindo tugged on the rope again, and this time Ian Gura knew he was on the way home with his father.